The conquered conquers the conqueror. The conquered conquers the conqueror. That's a line from the historian Thomas F.X. Noble, who teaches up at the University of Notre Dame. And when I came across it, I was reminded of a line from the Roman poet Horace. The captive takes captive the captor. As it relates to ancient Sumer, what this means is that Sumer is going to be conquered by other people. But those people who conquer it are going to borrow much of Sumerian culture and spread it across a broad area of land. And that's what our topic is going to be for this section here. Here's our map of, or one of the maps that we've been using to look at for ancient Sumer. All the way up to the north now, just outside of where the, I guess that's salmon color. You see the city of Akkad, A-K-K-A-D. That city is going to come to dominate ancient Sumer. It's going to invade ancient Sumer, conquer it, and rule it. And here we have another invention. Again, not a very good invention, I guess, and that is empire. Conquering places where other people live, using the languages to distinguish between people, to conquer places where other people live and to rule over them, to take them captive, to conquer them. Okay, and this is another invention, I guess, maybe not a very good one. But the inventor of this idea, a guy named Sargon. And you see an image of Sargon there. It's very badly eroded, but he lived a long time ago. About 4,500 years ago, about 2371 to 2316 BC, or roughly the years that we ascribe to him. Now, the name Sargon will be used by later rulers. There are some famous rulers of the Assyrian Empire who call themselves Sargon, in honor to the guy who invented the idea of imperialism, the idea of empire. Now, of course, people have been going to war for a long time, but they went to war to get slaves, they went to war to steal property, to loot stuff, but not to conquer territory and to control that territory. And that's what Sargon is credited with inventing. And what he does is he conquers the cities of Sumer, and then he finds out about this Sumerian written language, and we'll go into that at a later point, and adopts the written language, or adopts the alphabet at least, applies it to the Akkadian language, and Sargon will lead what is a fairly large empire. And he's going to spread Sumerian culture, the culture of the people that he conquers. The conqueror is conquered by the conquered. He's going to spread that over a large area, all the way in the west to the Mediterranean Sea, all the way to the east to Persia, where Iran is today. So from where Israel, Lebanon, Syria are today in the west, all the way to where Iran is in the east, he's going to spread the ideas of Sumer. This is what's been called the Sumerization of the A&E. In fact, I think I got that phrase from Thomas F.X. Noble as well. I'm not quite sure, but I think I did. The Sumerization of the A&E. Across this broad territory, the people are going to be using the type of written language that develops in Sumer to express their own languages. They're going to be telling each other the stories about Gilgamesh, the stories of the Sumerian gods, and this is going to spread across a very broad area. Also of interest, I'm not sure it's terribly important, but the first author whose name we know comes out of the Akkadian Empire. It's the name of the daughter of Sargon. Sargon makes his daughter the head priestess of the Akkadian religion, and her name Enheduanna, I think. I don't speak Akkadian. She wrote a number of hymns, a number of songs praising the gods, and we know who wrote those hymns, Enheduanna did. We don't know who wrote the Epic of Gilgamesh, for example, but the first author whose name we know is Sargon's daughter, which is maybe not a big deal, but kind of interesting. The Akkadian Empire will be conquered by a group of people called the Amorites. They're also mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. The Amorites live in the Negev, or originated, I should say, in the Negev. I don't know where they originated, all right, but that's where we pick up their story. In the Negev, The Negev is the desert part of the southern part of where Israel is today. And they leave the Negev. I've been to the Negev, and so I understand why they left. And they'll move and move into where Sumer is, conquer the Akkadian Empire and set up their own empire, what's called the Old Babylonian Empire, because they'll make the city of Babylon their capital. The main figure from the Old Babylonian Empire, spoiler alert, there's going to be a new Babylonian Empire, is, my clicker's not working, there we go, Hammurabi. And there you see a sculpture of a man named Hammurabi, who's most famous for putting together a code of laws. That word code doesn't mean like a secret code. The word code in a legal sense means laws that are written down. And I'll have another section for you about Hammurabi. The Old Babylonian Empire is going to be much smaller than the Akkadian Empire. But because it's more recent, we have a lot more information about the Old Babylonian Empire. Okay, it's the copies of the Sumerian stories, the Epic of Gilgamesh, for example. Our knowledge of Sumer is largely from things that were copied by the Old Babylonians, and so that's what makes them significant, as well as a lot of stuff they produced, like Hammurabi's Code of Law, and that's what I wanted to give you a few thoughts about.